All right, Devin, what is up, dude?
What's up? What's good?
Man, we're just trying to make it on by. I'm glad, for anybody off screen here, I almost got called into work to deal with some shenanigans. So thank God that I didn't end up fucking this up, man. Thank you very much, first and foremost, for taking the time today. So sick, man.
Hell yeah. I know that feel. I work at home, so
Yeah. Okay.
always got stuff going on in that regard.
Something popping up, it's just the
Yeah.
everyday life is shit, just the in betweens here. So excited. I mean, as far as being able to, kind of hear a little bit of an introduction as far as Can We Wait, and just really digging into that today and hearing, more about Rejection Pack in general. But, starting off here as a young man, as a young Devin, tell us about, as far as in Idaho, what are some spots around you that were bringing you, new music, and who was introducing you to stuff that really was catching your ear as opposed to shit that the old pops was trying to shove down your throat?
Well, I didn't actually grow up here.
Oh,
So
okay.
I would say but I moved here when I was 20.
Okay.
Yeah, 20. So when I did move here, I had a pretty good bearings on like what was what, but I grew up in Anchorage, Alaska,
Oh shit. Okay. Wow.
so that's even more like if people think like Idaho is so far removed from hardcore, Alaska is like, up that by like 1,000. Then you
Right.
have Alaska.
Dang.
Um, for up there, in terms of like, like friends and like, we'll say like old heads, um, there's my buddy Ike, he was from somewhere in Tennessee, but he was stationed up there in the military.
Hmm.
He put me on to a lot of good shit. This guy, Brennan, that I ended up being in a band with, he was from Houston, Texas, and I would say he was the most, like, I guess, transformative person in terms of getting me into music. Like, at the time when I met him, I was into more of, like, the Eulogy Records, kind of,
Oh.
like, Trustkill, Victor. Like, I liked hardcore, but it was very much more so it needed to have, like, breakdowns and, like, hard parts.
Okay.
And when I met him, he was way more into, like, Rivalry Records, uh, Rev, Bridge 9, like, early Deathwish stuff. And so he was making me, like, mix CDs and everything.
Okay.
Like, he's like, yeah, that stuff's fine that you like, but this is, like, the real deal stuff. Like, go listen to this instead.
Dang. Oh, so, I mean, okay. So growing up in Alaska, has there ever? Yeah, I mean, I don't. And this is not a slam at all, but has there ever been like a scene over there? I don't know. Like, I can't ever think of like a Alaska hardcore like fucking hashtag on something or like a sweatshirt. Like, is there much going on musically wise?
When I lived there, there was a lot of punk. I ended up going to, like, quite a bit of ska shows back in the day.
Dang.
And
Okay.
it was kind of just like a hodgepodge of, like, anything alternative. Um, there was a couple of bands that I would identify as hardcore bands, but I don't know if they would have copped to that. They kind of,
Mm.
they reminded me very much of Jane Doe tattoo hardcore, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
So they sonically sounded like hardcore bands, but when I was seeing them, especially at the time, I didn't even know that they were hardcore bands. I just thought they were like heavy punk bands.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Damn.
But my friends and I would fully say that we were the people that started an Anchorage hardcore scene.
Oh shit. Okay.
And
Damn.
then we kind of all moved at the same time. And then there was like, whenever we were up there, there was a younger crop of kids. They started bands. They kind of had like a scene going for a couple of years, if I recall. Like, like once I had moved, I tried to like kind of keep up with what was going on up there for a while. But as of now, there's actually a band up there called She, and they just recorded an LP with Taylor Young down in
Oh
California.
shit. Okay. Yeah.
And those are guys that I grew up with. Like, I'd been in bands with some of them before. And I still, like, keep in touch with them. According to them, there isn't really, like, a definitive hardcore scene
Hmm.
up there, per se. Like, people there like hardcore, but they're just playing kind of, like, looking at, like, shows they play, it seems very much like a hodgepodge and, like, mixed bill of, like, anything alternative under the sun. And, like, looking at videos of shows they play, like, no one is, like, quote-unquote, like, moshing, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But
Dang.
yeah, I think at least talking with them, kind of with the influx of so many new young people within hardcore, I think that hopefully, like, it seems like there might be some new people starting like hardcore bands up there. Hopefully.
Now, I mean, was there a lot of shows happening over that way? Like, obviously, that's so far northwest, and I don't know where in Alaska you were or if you're around Anchorage, but you know, was it a trek to try to get to, like, say, Washington or any other spots right there, you know, to get to like a decent hardcore show?
Yeah, that would be I think it's like 2 or 3 day drive. I could be wrong.
Holy fuck.
I've never done the drive myself, but
God damn.
there was so the one nice thing, if like anyone's from like smaller towns, you know, like a local show can like realistically pop off pretty hard,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, totally.
Like, there is constantly local shows. I mean, the nice thing too, we only did them on the weekends.
Oh, okay.
And you know, some of the biggest shows I've ever played were shows up there. Like, there was, for a local show, there was enough people there, so you could like very easily like head walk and stage dive and stuff, and you wouldn't like fall.
Okay.
Touring band wise, there was a couple of promotion companies that would get like, because 36 Crazy Fist was from up there,
Oh, okay.
so they would kind of like link up with bands that they were friends with. Like, I caught 12 Tribes came up there once, like Killswitch. I booked Die Young from Texas
Oh, yeah, okay.
up there when I lived there, and I almost booked HopeCon and Zayo.
Sheesh.
Like, I'd been talking to them and kind of trying to figure it out, but then like it didn't pan out. But
Damn.
I know after I moved, Trash Talk went up there a couple times, Ceremony, Misery Signals.
Shit.
I feel like there was another smaller hardcore band from Washington
Okay.
that actually drove up there for whatever reason.
I mean, it's funny because it's like not to that far of an extent, but like Michigan, I feel like a lot of times happens just because you have to go up between the two lakes and then come right back down. You know, you can't really have the, the constant flow of going throughout the country for people who are touring. So for the longest time, you know, it might have been like Detroit or maybe something Lansing that was like further south, but, pulling up anywhere further. And probably like the last like 10 years, I've noticed that a lot of bands have started like, you know, pulling up in Grand Rapids and different spots, you know, north. But yeah, I feel you there. Not quite to that extent, but yeah, holy shit. That's interesting because I guess I've never really thought of that. And with, you know, Alaska being that far out there too, it's like, fuck, you got a commitment ahead of you.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, any band that would like come up and play, it kind of didn't matter like how relevant or irrelevant that your band was to people up there. It was like a big deal. To where I know when Die Young went up there, especially at the time, they were like a very DIY hardcore band, and I want to say they made all their money back. Like, I mean, the shows themselves would be weird. Like, you'd be playing to more or less a lot of people that have no fucking clue what hardcore is.
Yeah, right.
You know? But it's like, I remember Daniel, their singer, telling me that, because they rented a car, and they drove up to Fairbanks, which was like 6 hours away, and they played a show, and you know, like most hardcore band sets, they're not very long, and they played this show at a bar, and so I want to say they had to play their set twice, or something like that. But they ended up selling so many fucking hoodies, and people were so psyched, to where it's one of those things where if you go up there, people will show up and they will buy merch. You know, maybe you're not getting necessarily the reaction that you want or hope, you know?
Yeah, right.
But even at this point, looking at most hardcore shows, I feel like you have more push moshing and like kind of bobbing around, like just doing whatever.
Yeah.
For maybe if you go up there now, it'd probably be that reaction anyway. You know?
It's always fun to like not actually it's not fun whatsoever. You know, like playing a show and having it be in something where it's like completely not popping off. It's not something, you know, where it's like, God, what is going on? But then it's funny where I was going with this was after the fact of going and you go back to like the merch table and there's just like a ton of people buying shit, you know, or a lot, you know, just more than what you would expect for like nobody even fucking did anything during our set, but now all of a sudden everybody's like buying shit. Hey,
Oh yeah.
all right. Kind of one of those things where it's like a even balance. Like, hey, you didn't move during the music, and that's fine. You're buying shit, supporting, so cool. Where your involvement in music, you know, as far as like, did you initially play an instrument before, or was vocals always kind of like something that you had your eyes on?
I played saxophone like a lot of people in
Sick. Okay, so a band.
Like,
all right.
Elementary and junior high. I was pretty good at that, but I didn't like practicing or lugging around the gear. So
okay.
I couldn't wait to get to high school to stop doing that. And then I kind of, like, the way that I started singing, because this was like pre-YouTube, you know, video vocal covers holding your remote control and crap. My parents had a karaoke machine, and so I would just put on you know, albums that I liked, and I would just try to sing along to it, like screaming. However, like the people I was listening to was just mimicking their style. And so that's kind of how I started. Like, I remember, this will be a deep cut. So I remember auditioning. These kids in my high school had a metal band, and they were like way too obsessed. They were stuck in like Metallica, Testament, like Exodus era.
Yeah.
And like that's where music ended for them. And I remember I auditioned for their band, and I didn't want to play music like that, but I was like, oh, it's heavy, you know, maybe like, because they were younger. I think they were like sophomores and I was a junior and some of them were freshmen. And I was like, oh, they're just, you know, they're just like younger, even though it's only a year or two different. They're younger, they'll get into
right.
So I remember auditioning for their band, and they wanted me to do a bunch of like clean singing, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I just like yell and scream. Didn't get into the band. Like, I remember they had me do they covered Godsmack, and I'm like, well, sing along to this, and I'm like, this sucks. But
shit. That's
yeah,
awesome.
I mean, I ended up just like making friends with kids at school, and we kind of like, my senior year, we put a band together, and it was definitely like most local bands and people's first bands, it was a wide variety of people in the band with influences, but we kind of sounded like, you know, Hope's Fall, or like Poison the Well, like very Trust Hill, like metalcore type stuff.
That rules, dude. And you mentioned even like Eulogy, you know, that was one thing. It was funny to me because I was thinking about merch the other day, and just like earlier on being into like bands like the Warriors or like on Broken Wings, I was watching a video from like 2008 of Krzysztof from Yad yesterday, his old band, and it was like videos from them in Poland, and this cat had on like a Heartless on Broken Wings shirt, and I'm like, at that time, like, I wasn't even finding this shit. How the fuck did this dude in Poland like have this? Like, how did this even get pulled up? Like, there were so many different like things where I'm like, God, I would have loved to have. I remember, I think at one point, like, I tried to buy a Horse the Band shirt from maybe even like a site that they had, and it never came, and I like lost my money on it and shit. So I'm just like, God damn it. But what about as far as like with stuff like that, you know, like earlier pieces of like merch or records, you know, maybe not necessarily records, but you know, early you know, CDs even, or tapes that you ended up buying that started kind of like a collection for you?
So let's see. I'll say one of my first pieces of like hardcore merch I had. I actually went on vacation to DC with my family, and I caught Glassjaw and Hot Water Music at the 930 Club. And so I bought the infamous like Glassjaw like J shirt.
Okay. Yeah.
And I wore the shit out of that for many, many years. Like a lot of people at the time, I was buying youth large and small shirts. And so I was
not lying, dude.
Going to Hot Topic, and then I ended up working at Hot Topic my senior year of high school. Okay. And so with the employee discount, was going pretty buck wild. Getting like all of like the classic, like From Mom to Ashes, Bleeding Through,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. I remember like I bought In Note by Hopecon when I started working there, and that was like a pretty definitive record for me. I bought like 18 Visions, Until the Ink Runs Out. That was like a big like CD album or whatever for me.
Sick.
I think it was towards the end of my senior year, back when like Merch Now was like really popping,
Mm-hmm.
and I picked up, you know, probably size small, Care and Champion shirts with, you know, like the navy blue with like the gold print and like pocket print. And I remember those were two of like my go-to shirts for a very, very, very long time.
Oh man, that's so sick. And it's funny, like even just like the simple things like that, you know, like when you used to have somebody's mentioned, you know, Merch Now, it is funny because there was a lot of money spent there for sure. But like there was a while too where you would have like deep V-necks, maybe even with like some of like the new metal or like metal bands that would like start doing that shit. It's like, boy, what are we doing, man? We can't start getting into all this shit. But so touching on merch, one thing I have to touch on, this hoodie that you guys just put out with your run of shows. It's got all the track listing down the arm. I mean, where does that idea come from? Not even necessarily that's the first time that it was done, but that's fucking sick, dude. That's awesome.
So we do like not that all of our merch has been designed, but our buddy Chris Mollett, who does Youth Energy, he's done most of our more than less of our merch designs.
Okay.
And him and I are always touching base. Like him and I talk so much about this kind of crap that like I feel like we can finish each other's sentences, and our brains are kind of like on the same thing. And I'm always looking at a lot of like, I'll go back and look through like old like 90s, early 2000s like skateboarding designs and kind of stuff like that. And then because he does a lot of merch design too, and I'll see stuff that he's done that I like, and we just like him and I just look at a lot of stuff and kind of try to find ideas that aren't from like hardcore per se. And I remember he had done a design. It might have been something that he had done for one of his boots, but it had a bunch of print, like text print down the sleeve. And I knew that when he did the layout for our LP, he had actually made a unique logo for each song in the layout.
Oh shit! Okay, damn.
And I was like, yo, that would look really sick if we did that down the sleeve. And I want to say, I could be wrong, but I want to say he was like, yo, I was thinking the same thing. Like, I thought that would look cool.
Just connected, yeah.
Because I know with, like, our band, I'm sure a lot of other bands do this too, anytime we're coming up with, like, album art and things like that, we're also thinking, will this look, we want it to also be able to, like, carry over to merch. Kind of, like, kill two birds with one stone in a sense where it's like, what's it, like, even with, like, album titles, like, will this look cool on merch? Will it make sense on merch? Will the album cover look cool on a t-shirt? Things like that. So, because, like, with the record title, Can We Wait? And Chris just joined. With Can We Wait, we're like, oh, that'll look sick on t-shirts, too. And, like, kind of, like, if someone sees that, they'll be like, oh, what is that? Like, you know. So, that, yeah, the hoodie design, that was me and Chris. You know, he came up with the... We wanted to do something with a TV on it because of all the TVs on the record cover. And then he came up with the idea of using the static with our band name. Our band name would be the Static, and kind of like glitching out and everything.
That's so sick.
And then the sleeve print. Like, I was talking to Charlie, our drummer, about it the other day. You talked to Charlie. I don't know why more bands don't do sleeve prints. And obviously because it costs more money, like the more like screen prints and stuff. But kind of like, it just looks sick when you have sleeve prints. And I'm like, I get that it costs more, but at the same time, I'm like, why don't you just do that? Like,
yeah, if the funding's there, I mean, that's like one, you know, even more like recently, like, I mean, we're going to dig into horror, you know, we're going to dig into, you know, scary movies and shit, but like the merch that you can get from different cats, you have Studio House Designs, you have Graveyard Goods. Some of these, like, not only is it, like just absolutely rad thread to be able to have on, but then like you mentioned the sleeves, and that's, something a lot of times I see with them too, where they have, long sleeve shirt and then there's a print that goes down. And I completely agree, man. Like it's a solid look, and it adds, that other little flair where it's not, just another like shirt that's there. And with the fucking track titles down the sleeve though, man, I was like, God, that's fucking ripping. That's so sick. I love that for sure. I gotta pick it up for sure. You mentioned skating, BMX, different things. We grew up and had like Tony Hawk Pro Skater and skate videos and all this shit. Did any of that influence you as far as, introducing you to different bands? I'll say, mine was something like Primus. Listening to, playing the Tony Hawk Pro Skater and hearing that band, for whatever reason, they popped off to me and I loved them. Did that introduce you to anything maybe even more punk or something that was, I know sometimes they have like hip hop, influence your music interests?
I feel like I am one of the only people that wasn't influenced musically by any of the Tony Hawk games.
Okay.
I liked the Tony Hawk games, but by the time I was playing those, I was already like fairly familiar with like punk at that point.
Right.
To where like I liked it and I thought it was sick, but it wasn't like a springboard type thing where it's like, oh, I'd never heard bands like this before.
Okay.
In terms of like skateboarding culture, I don't skateboard at all. I used to growing up in Alaska, obviously I snowboarded.
Yeah, right.
So like I was buying all my clothes at like Zumiez and PacSun.
Yeah.
And everything, but I don't know, like the culture and everything, like I think the fashion and like the design aspects of a lot of those shirts is just like, to me, from that era specifically, holds up way more than a lot of other things. Like the designs were pretty minimal and the colorways were cool. I think that kind of stuff's really great. A lot of the late 2000s, we'll just say like graphic tee and everything like that is straight up horrendous. And I hate it. Like when you mentioned V-necks, I'm just thinking of like all the old, like a lot of the hardcore and like metalcore merch back then straight up was disgusting.
Oh man.
But
it's a hard time, dude. Hard time to go through.
It was rough. But kind of like in Alaska too, like all of the alternative people and like skateboarders and everything all kind of like just hung out together, to where I hung out with a lot of kids that skated and everything, and like I'd go hang out with them while they were skating and just like, probably bullshit with them and like fuck with people that were like around, but
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I dig that. I mean, and luckily, like it's weird right now too, because I mean, for the last like few years, like it's kind of been more of a 90s feel again, with everything kind of a little bit more floating, and definitely no smalls. That's not a thing. I don't know if you guys print smalls, and we would print a few, and those motherfuckers would be lasting far beyond what we want.
I have 2 smalls of an old shirt.
Okay.
I think we have 1 small left of all the new stuff that we printed the other week. We'll kind of do one for like, it's easier to display a small shirt on a table,
Oh, right.
So we'll kind of we'll print 1 small, so if someone really wants a small, we'll have it, but it's also good for the table, and like, we eventually will move through them, but like, yeah, smalls and like even mediums are like, I feel like a lot harder to sell than like a large or an extra large.
Beyond that time, man. Yeah, cats don't want that shit. It's funny. It's funny how that stuff works. Or like, you guys talking about like graphic design and different things, like having something where it's, the pocket T logo and then the logo bigger on the back, that's been kind of like a conversation with bandmates of mine and going back and forth. And I'm like, dude, maybe we don't love the style, or we don't like, necessarily how many people have it, but it's like, put that out on your merch table and it's blazing through.
Yeah, I think to a point too, it's like you have to be, we'll say, consumer focused, because these are the people that are like buying your stuff and giving you money and they're wearing it, to where
right.
You want to make stuff that people want, as opposed to like having this like just like artistic what's the word? I'm having a brain fart on the word, but Oh yeah, just being stubborn with like
Oh, okay, I
your
got you.
artistic vision necessarily, like of well we would only want to do stuff like this, and it's like well no one's gonna like necessarily wear that per se, or like you have so many like a lot of creative people are like we'll say they're interesting, so there's
Hmm.
lots of different styles and like whatnot to where sometimes one person in a band might want something where it's like that's cool that you like this stuff, but ain't nobody gonna wear that.
Yeah. So moving to Idaho, where do you end up meeting the Rejection Pack boys? How does that click end up, starting up, and what were some ideas thrown around as far as the initial sound, and did that kind of follow through of the initial, like conversations, or did it, obviously
So
change and vary?
sorry.
No, no, no.
So Charlie and I actually had been in a band before,
Hmm.
and so I've known Charlie for probably since 2009. He was from a really small town in Idaho, and I remember him and his friends coming to shows back in the day, and we hazed them like like we weren't like being like physically hazing them, but just like giving them a hard time and like fucking with them and stuff. And they kept coming around for like, oh y'all are sick, like cool. And so I'd known him for a while, and he's kind of like the drummer for Boise.
Hmm.
And so him and I had done a band. That band, we were around for like a year and a half, fizzled out. And him and I at one point were like, oh, we should start like a metalcore band. Like, let's do like a classic metalcore band. And this was like right before the whole metalcore revival hit. And then
Oh,
once
okay.
that
Yeah.
popped, we were kind of like, okay, well, never mind. That feels kind of like redundant at this point.
Yeah.
And then just like every now and then, him and I would just like, oh, it'd be fun to start like a hardcore band again, and just do like straight up hardcore. And then he was in a band with Ralph called Step Brothers, and they were like they were like a rock like they started out as like a kind of like just like a fun punk band, with a name like that.
Yeah.
And they had like silly song titles, but by the end of their band, they had morphed into like just like a straight up rock band, like a lot of like the Run for Cover type stuff. And I was on their last little like tour, like they did like a Northwest tour, and like they knew that they were going to be breaking up. And so I went with them and did merch, and we were kind of talking about me and Ralph, our bassist, and Charlie were talking like, oh, it'd be, like we should start like a hardcore band, like y'all's band's breaking up, like it would be fun. Like that was the first time I'd really hung out with Ralph, and him and I got along super well. And then so that was at the end of summer
Hmm.
of 2017. And then so whenever we came back, I was actually me and Nathan, our guitarist, I was hiking with him, and I was mentioning, oh yeah, I think we're gonna start a band. Because I could be wrong, but I want to say the initial plan was like we would just record, us three could write a demo and record it because they both play guitar. So like, oh,
Oh, okay.
we could write a demo. But I was telling him like, oh, we're gonna start a hardcore band. I think it's gonna be like a fast hardcore band. Like I had mentioned like Carry On and like Go It Alone. Like, oh, these are some of the bands that and like we're gonna kind of pull from or try to sound like. And Nathan had actually never been in a band before, but he'd played guitar since high school. And he was like, he had just I think gotten out of like a long-term relationship where he had a bunch of free time on his hands at that point, and was like, oh, well, would you be cool with me potentially trying out for guitar? And I was like, yeah, let me talk to the boys, but like I don't see why not. And then so they were down, and then we got together, and we ended up just like working really well. Like everyone meshed quick. Everything came together pretty quickly, and
Okay.
we ended up we started jamming in September, and we wrote and recorded a 5-song. Yeah, it was a 5-song demo. But we'd even recorded like 2 or 3 other songs that we kind of like. Some of the songs have never seen the light of day. Some of them have been used for like comps and stuff. But
Oh, shit. Okay. Now,
um,
was that the 2017 demo, or is this something before?
We put it out in January, I think January of 2018, so it's like 2018 demo, but we recorded
okay.
it in November. Yeah, of November that year before. But sound-wise, we just knew that we wanted to play fast, just like straightforward hardcore. Like, at the beginning, we didn't really know, per se, if we wanted to be, like, heavy, like, heavier in a more, like Allegiance.
Right.
Like that band, like, trying to be a little heavier like that, or if we wanted to be a little more melodic. Because, like a lot of bands, like our demo, we were still, like, flushing out sounds. Like, we had a song that we never put out that sounded like Kid Dynamite. And
okay.
we had some stuff that was a little more like Modern Life of War, Strike Anywhere, like, kind of stuff like that. But, like, even with the first 7-inch, most of the songs were written within the first, like, 4 or 5 months of being a band.
Oh, okay.
So we're like, I think you can also hear on the 7-inch us still flirting and playing around with sounds. Like on the 7-inch, there's way more like just straight up mosh parts compared to like our new record that's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to say the new record, like on the new record, every song has a mosh part, but it's like, oh, this is clearly a breakdown, whereas this is like sneaky or like a little more subtle. But
not so in your face. Yeah, I dig that. Okay. I mean,
sorry.
I was just gonna say, and with that too, like the one thing initially hearing it and being so excited about, like a lot of times you kind of have where with hardcore you have something where it kind of like there might be kind of like a little ebb and flow, or it might feel like it's been a couple of EPs that was put together, and like there's a flow to this, you know, where like front to back, like I had mentioned to you, like it's just a wholesome, like solid hardcore record. Like that's the biggest thing to me, where I'm just like, I'm gonna toss it on, I'm gonna go work out, I'm gonna go fucking do whatever, and it's a front to back, you know, whereas like the singles, sick, I'm in, I'm sold, you know, but like as far as listening to it through and through, it's fucking awesome, dude. Absolutely ripping. So I mean, from the beginning, you know, we're gonna kind of dig into a couple things, and if you don't want to, you know, talk about it, or if you want to, you know, wait or whatnot, we can do that. But the intro to it, you know, you kind of there's like a dial sound of changing through things. At one point, the Charlie Brown pops in. What do we got going on here, man? Bring us through this shenanigans.
So we had written an intro because we demoed the whole record summer of 2020. Like the record's been like more or less done. Like,
oh, okay.
The basic idea of the record's been done since then. And Charlie had actually written a song out on piano for an intro, and we were initially going, like, I had written out a whole fucking, like, speech type, like, monologue or whatever that kind of summarized, like, the whole record and what the songs are about. And we were actually going to have, like, we were going to track vocals for that and try to have it sound like, almost like, not like, what's the word? Almost just like an announcement type thing, you know, just like something like that. So, we wanted it to sound very like, you know, epic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But when we actually went in to record the record with Ryan, we kind of were like, let's kind of scrap that idea. And then Ryan was like, oh, actually, I took that intro that Charlie had written and was kind of messing with it a little bit. Like, what do you think about this? And it was the same basic idea, but he had done a little stuff with like synthesizers and everything. And so as we were in the studio, we just kept dicking around and like trying different things, and we're writing it on the spot. But we like, it might have been Hunter that came up with the idea of, oh, it'd be really cool if we had like, it sound like someone tuning in on like a radio or something. And so we found at the studio they had an old radio that was just there. So we hooked that up and just recorded us like skipping through a bunch of channels on the radio right then and there.
Oh,
and
shit.
It
okay.
just so happened that Charlie Brown was on the radio at that exact moment. And so
okay.
we went through and we're finding all these different things. Like, I want to say we didn't even record like the actual radio thing. We didn't even record that much. Like, on the video we put up yesterday of, like, the behind-the-scenes stuff, there's a part where Charlie is messing around with like a keyboard and making all sorts of clickety clackety noises on it. And we recorded that for part of the intro. And like it was just us messing with a bunch of weird noises and sounds that we thought sounded cool. Okay. I'm like, oh, like this is weird. This will sound cool. It'll sound like someone really like skimming through everything and just like making noise and trying to find. And then whenever like they find the right station, that was when we actually took the intro that Charlie and Ryan had messed with.
Okay.
And like recorded it on like, I want to say it was like synthesizers or something with a piano. And then after that, me, Ryan, and Charlie were all like sitting around like the mic, and we kept saying, "Can we wait?" and making it sound all like echoey and like kind of like that. And we kept amplifying it towards getting louder and louder and louder. And then finally Ryan, like you hear on the record, it's like, "Oh, can we wait?" And then like the record starts.
Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, this is I love hearing all this shit. So like I'm just like taking everything in. I mean, anything that you have like to say with it, like it's so sick. That's awesome. What so Charlie ended up writing the actual like piano part with it. Very dissonant, dude. Just like getting you ready and prepared for the ass whooping that you're gonna get for the rest of this record.
Yeah, like we wanted it to feel like an actual intro, but not be so long that people will like. Because a lot of things like if the intro just sucks, people will skip it, and or if it's too long, we're like, oh, this is still a short intro, but it's kind of like, because we wrote the record as like an album, you know, to where like, oh, this is kind of like getting you ready for the record. You know?
Yeah, right. No, I see that too, like where you say, where there's different things where, say, if like an intro is a minute and a half, 2 minutes or something, you know, like it's just something that you bleed through. If it's something that's short enough and it still feels like it's almost connected to the first track, you're not sitting through, you know, like a whole like long spiel or anything like that. It's still interesting enough where it connects right in through and kicks into the next track. Yeah, and obviously the energy that follows like is well there. You know, with your first memories as far as writing this new record, what was, you know, the foundation for some of these new tracks that you were hearing as far as earlier stuff?
So first off, we knew we wanted to have way more guitar and riffy stuff, because when we wrote the 7-inch, we were a 4-piece. Hunter joined the band that summer when we were touring for that. So then when we started writing new stuff, we're like, we need to have, like, Hunter's like an amazing guitarist, and we're like, this boy can shred, to where we're like, we need to have solos and like leads and just like stuff where it's like we have two guitar. We need to write stuff that just like we have the ability now to do more with the guitars.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the key things we wanted. I mean, I don't think we thought too hard per se on, oh, we need to do this now versus before. Everything kind of felt natural. Mm-hmm. I know that we wanted to make sure that everything was still fast, and we wanted to strive. Most of the times when we were writing, like, we didn't explicitly say things, mm-hmm. but we just kind of knew that we wanted the new stuff to be more melodic. We wanted it to feel less like breakdown, like, because we like some of the songs on the new record when we initially wrote them had bigger mosh parts, and we just straight up cut them out of the song. Like, that feels kind of forced. Like, that doesn't feel like why did we put that there, type thing.
Right.
But yeah, we kind of just, because everyone's schedules are so busy in the band so we wrote half the record before COVID hit. Mm-hmm. But even like the writing process for that was so sporadic. Like that song Hollow Ethos we wrote summer 2019.
Oh, no shit.
That was the first song we wrote together. And then it was like cool, we all really like the song, sick. And then kind of like when we'd have time, we'd get in a room, because we knew we needed to like write. Like we were wanting to write a follow-up. And it was like, okay. we have some downtime. Okay, we'll write a song, type thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Like we didn't ever really have like writing sessions, how some bands have, or like just time to like really like sit out and write songs. And then we had about, I think, 4 or 5 songs written. COVID hit, and then at that point, we were like, okay, well, like a lot of bands, like we didn't know how long or not how long it was going to be. So we're at that point, like the band was just like on pause, you know. And then once we kind of realized, all right, well, this is going to be life for a while. So okay, well, let's start writing stuff. So then we were writing remotely, you know. Oh, here's a guitar track. What do you guys think? Posted in like the group chat. Okay, well, someone else picks up the guitar, changes some parts down, sends it back. Okay, what do you think about this change? And then we ended up writing over the course of like that spring and part of that summer the rest of the record. And then most of us at the time were working at home. So we felt comfortable enough to like get in a room together and like feel safe or whatever. But I want to say we wrote the rest of like getting together. We wrote the rest of the record in like 2 or 3 practices. Like,
oh, okay.
We just put all the songs together because we didn't want to get together until we basically had more or less like the bulk of the song was done. Because before we'd get in a room and like write it on the spot. Like, as long as we had an idea, if we're on the room, we could like figure out and like write the song. Whereas this time we wanted to have bulk of the song done. So I remember one day it was like we couldn't have been there more than 2 hours, and we wrote like 3 or 4 songs. Like we put them together as like because it's like me, Nathan, and Charlie got together and put the rest of the songs together. Because like even as a band, like I would say we're the primary songwriters, is us 3.
Okay.
And then we'll get together. Hunter will add leads. Like Ralph will just go crazy with all his bass parts. But I think it really helps too that Charlie can play every instrument, and so can Hunter, and so can Ralph. So when it comes to actual songwriting through the band, like, just, I don't know, like, especially Charlie and Ralph, they've been playing music together, I feel like 10 years now, to where, like, everyone just kind of knows how stuff is supposed to be put together as a song, as opposed to, like, oh, here's a bunch of parts that are chopped together and it's a song. Like,
right.
They're very much, like, kind of just, like, well aware of what each other's, like, thinking. And, like, I can't play anything else, but, like, I listen to a ton of hardcore.
Right.
Well, I'm kind of, like, the idea person of, like, oh, well, like, we should have a part like this, or, like, it would sound cool if we had something like this, or they'll write it, oh, how do you think this sounds, type of thing. Like, I'm good at, like, giving feedback and things like that. But,
well,
yeah.
And especially, I mean, even with you mentioning, like, well, not a lot, but some of the songs, you know, being around for years and, you know, have been something, you know, that you guys have been kind of messing with. The cohesiveness, I think, with the album as a whole, was that something that you guys had kind of moved around different pieces as far as from initially how it was laid out, or was this like, this is how it feels? It feels right?
So I came up with the track listing. That's like one of the things I can like, oh, that was all me.
Oh, okay.
But we knew
it worked.
We wrote an interlude song, and we knew that this is going to be the interlude of the record.
Okay.
Because most of the songs are like pretty fast, you know, like there's one song on the record that's slower, and then there's the intro. And so we knew for a fact we want to have a cool intro. Or not intro, sorry, we want to have a cool interlude on the record. So we wrote that. We knew that that's going to be in the middle, obviously. But other than that, like, when we did the rough cut demo, we had, I want to say the demo, like the demo of the record up to the finalized one, I want to say there might have been only 1 or 2 songs that were swapped around. But basically, we had a general idea of these are how all the songs are going to flow together. Like, Charlie is really good at figuring out where this song ends, this next song will go into it. And I mean, again, I don't know shit about music from a formal standpoint.
Yeah.
Where he's really good about, well, this song ends on this note. This song starts on this note. So this is like how it should flow.
Oh, okay.
But
Sure.
I mean, yeah, like we just, so in terms of like most of the tracks, like they weren't written in the sense that like, oh, this is like an album. Like we wrote the record as an album, but more so like we knew we wanted to have, we had an intro, we knew we had an interlude, and then the last song on the record we had written because we knew that was going to be the last song. With the way that like the song ends, like we made it a point where we wanted to end on this type of like ending of a song, and at the same time, like we felt like the last track on the record was the weirdest song. And on the 7-inch,
Okay.
the last song, We All Lose, we felt was the weirdest song on the record. And so we kind of wanted to do the same thing. Let's end the record with the weirdest song, almost as like our next album might sound a little more like this.
Okay.
This is maybe the direction that we might be going in a little more. Because the last song on the record, I think for me, might be my favorite song.
It's I mean, I'm kicking myself in the ass because I didn't write down the track. There was certain tracks that I was wanting to touch on, and I didn't fucking write them down. But that was one of the songs that definitely stood out to me, musically, lyrically, presentation. And I mean, you mentioning that and it being something that was, on purpose, was one of the odder songs from the rest of the album as far as like feel of it. Like, oh, this is a little different, but fucking rips. Yeah, totally. Now, did you have, like, as far as your writing process, did you have a long, stretch with being able to work on this stuff, or did you have something where while you guys were recording, you're just kind of jamming that? How does that? How does your writing process work?
So once we had the whole record demoed with like instruments, that's when I like, because I had like lyrics written like roughly like, because the way that when it, pre-COVID or whatever, when we'd write stuff, like I'm sure a lot of bands do, I'd have a cell phone recording of this song, and then I'd go home and write lyrics to that, and then we would practice it.
Mm-hmm.
So then when we went to record, I already knew the song. Whereas with this record, when we demo tracked everything, I had never sang on a single one of these songs. Even the songs that we had written before COVID, I had never sang on them. I practiced once. So recording the demo, it's not that it was hard, but it was just different. Because like I'm not like, when we did the 7-inch, I had sang on almost all. We had been playing most of those songs live, other than a couple. So I had like the muscle memory and just playing these. So when we're tracking the demo, it, like more than anything, it's like piece by piece. I'm going through it. We're listening back, like, okay, does this sound good? Oh, we'll change this part. Like you should do this a little more. So that was interesting. And then time-wise, I feel like I got most of the lyrics done pretty quickly. I don't know. So what was really fun, because it was all during like COVID, so we didn't have like a deadline. It's like, your pressing plants are fucked. Like, we're not going to be able to tour on this for a while, so let's just take our time with writing and recording it.
Mm-hmm.
So with all the lyrics, I would have like rough drafts of all the lyrics written, and then I was actually going over to Charlie's house, and we were reading through all the lyrics because we wanted everything to rhyme. We're like, catchy music rocks. The songs that really stick with you have a good like vocal pattern and everything.
Sure.
And so we went through and basically chopped up and revised. I mean, for the most part, the lyrics weren't changed around that much. But we went through and made sure everything rhymed. All the lyrics. We were like, we wanted this record very much to be like, this is going to be a cohesive record lyrically. It's all going to have a theme, to where we were very, very, very intentional and spent a lot of time on the lyrics. But I felt like writing the actual base of the lyrics in that sense didn't necessarily take a long time.
Oh, okay.
Or like looking back, I feel like it didn't. I mean, it could have taken me months. I don't remember. But from what I do remember, I guess it didn't feel like it took that long. But so yeah, I went through. We basically revised all the lyrics. We were happy with them. We knew that some of the lyrics were written very much from a time and place perspective of what was going on, like socially and politically at that exact moment.
Okay.
And so we're like, I guess that was like one, like a minor concern is like, oh, is this going to feel dated when this comes out? But then at the same time, we were like, I mean, no, because you could like, this could apply to lots of other things. It's just like we are writing it from that perspective. And at the same time, I think it's kind of cool when you look at like different hardcore and punk records from very specific eras politically, and you can tell, oh, clearly these songs are about this, and this is what was going on.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So we're like, okay, like you'll be able to look at this and like, you should. I think it's pretty obvious. These songs are specifically about this.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, 10 years, maybe, like, at this exact moment, like, maybe people, like, okay, that maybe there's a little bit of fatigue, per se. But, but 5 or 10 years, that'll be cool.
I mean, even thematically, like, was there, with the theme that you mentioned, or even, like, in doing, like, revisions and kind of certain things, initially reading back, was there certain moments that really like that pushed you out of your comfort zone, or kind of had you like, I don't know how this is going to sound or how this is going to work, and then go into record them and you're like, fuck, this turned out way better than I thought it was going to?
Thematically, no, just because everything that we're writing about is pretty like social or political issues, to where I guess I don't feel weird about or feel uncomfortable about writing about that kind of stuff.
Not uncomfortable. I meant like pushing you out of your comfort zone, like as far as like something that you're like, maybe I don't typically touch on this, and this is like pushing yourself.
No, I mean, I guess in the sense that it's like, oh, I'm a white dude that lives in Boise, Idaho, writing about political, social things where, maybe this isn't necessarily happening in my backyard, but at the same time, I think these are important issues and things that need to be discussed. And at the same time, being here, a lot of the things, for a lot of people, I think in Boise, it's either like out of sight, out of mind. So they have these fucking idiot viewpoints about things where it's like I remember during like a lot of the protesting and stuff, you got a lot of these conservative nitwits that live here where they're like thinking that like their houses are going to get broken into by Antifa and all this other nonsense. And I'm like, first of all, you're an idiot. Secondly, have you gone outside? Like, that isn't happening, you moron. Like, shut up. And they're like, oh, like I saw on the news in Portland, and it's like, oh, I have friends in Portland, and I'm telling you, it's fine. Like, this fucking fear bait that you're buying into, you're an idiot. But
I love that you said nitwit. I've grown up on Three Stooges my whole life. That's what a great insult. Like, to not have to go too far and to just call somebody a simple fucking nitwit. God, what a gratification. I didn't mean to cut you off, but god damn, that's great.
It's a very underused insult.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean,
that's great.
I guess that's my only thing, is like wondering, like, is there gonna, like, would there potentially be like blowback, I guess, from that? But I'm like,
it's the message.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It's not about who it is that's going through whatever the fuck. It's not about, like the effect of whether or not that's happening next door to me and not miles away in Chicago or Detroit or some shit. it's the message, man, and it's for, you know, like people that are listening and that are reaching out and like, oh, maybe you are in Idaho and aren't aware of these things going on and
Exactly.
aren't aware that these things aren't okay. Like, good, you're
like,
fucking doing your part.
I think that, like, I'm not writing for anything like, oh, this has happened to me. I'm like, yeah, I'm not saying that, like, at all. Like, but I know specific, like, when we were recording it, I remember Charlie was like, man, I remember when, like, I was way younger and, like, I can't, like, he's straight up from the smallest fucking town in Idaho. Like, when we drove through it on tour one time, because I'd never been there, I'm like, yeah, this is literally, like, 2 streets. Like,
damn, no shit.
But I remember him being like, oh, when I got, like, the Strike Anywhere record and, like, reading through the lyrics and, like, reading through the book and, like, these Propagandhi records, that really shaped a lot of my, like, viewpoints on things and, like, put me onto things that I hadn't been aware of before, or maybe just hadn't thought about it in that way. And to where for us, we're like, you know, if that same thing could happen for someone else that's younger, you know, or even older, like, you know, I'm not like, you know, I think most people, maybe not like senior citizens per se, but I think most people are pretty capable of changing their viewpoints, or at least I hope so. You know, I don't think that most people are inherently bad people. I think that a lot of people are naive, and I think a lot of people are stupid. But, you know, they're that way for a reason. It's not like, it's not by accident or happenstance. It's because, like, things are built in a certain way for people to be dumb and for people to be, like, you know, and you get, like, super punks, like, brainwashed. But to where I think that if, like, not to mention, like, a lot of people in hardcore and punk are fucking messed up, and they're screwed up, and I think that, like, music can have a positive impact on these people way more than, like, quote-unquote, a normal person, you know? Like, I think the way that people connect, I think the way that, like, punk and hardcore listeners connect with music, at least to me, feels at a much deeper emotional level than, like, you know, like a normie. When it comes to, like, it's like, oh, like, this song rocks, and I'm like, you know, have you read the lyrics? This shit sucks. It's stupid. Like, if you like it for, like, oh, it's just fun and it's enjoyable, like, that's sick. Like, that totally, like, tracks. But if you're connecting with, like, crap that's on the radio from my lyrical standpoint, like, that's fucking weird. So, like, I think with our stuff, with the new record, and I guess, like, challenging, kind of circling back to that, like, no, it wasn't challenging. We just hope that, like, I think that lyrics are, like, super important within hardcore and punk, and I think that's something that really, like, defines the genre, and I think that that's something that really, like, differentiates it from other types of music. So I think that with this new record, we wanted, like, there's some songs on Threats that were written from, where they're, like, they weren't as political or social, like, all the songs you could, like, tie it back to that, but they're written more from, like, oh, this is just what's going through my head, and, like, this is how I feel about stuff, whereas this record was very much like, these are the things that we really liked about Threats. Now let's make this whole next record more in that regard. So.
Sick. So I haven't seen anything as far as you touching on it, and I honestly I hate, you know, digging into the obvious shit. But Can We Wait? The title, you know, if you are available or, you know, willing to, you know, to share, where was, you know, this initial standpoint, you know, coming from as far as that question, and then ultimately into the title of the album.
So we almost called the record, or at least like I think me and Charlie were, like, pretty into it for a while. I don't remember if the other guys were, but the initial title, or, like, working title that I had come up with was Fear in Their Eyes.
Oh, okay.
And we were, like, thinking, like, touching back on merch, like, oh, we could do stuff with eyes, and, like, that would look cool on a shirt, and that kind of summarizes a lot of the songs thematically have a rooting in, like, fear, and, like, how, like, fear really, like, drives a lot of people's just like viewpoints and like the way they like go about things and like, you know, even from like we'll say like the government and like big business and everything, like a lot of stuff's like fear based, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so we thought that was cool, but at the same time we're like, well, not everyone loved it, and we're like, so then I remember when we were coming up with titles, we had like a Google Drive like Word doc of like I had all the lyrics and then I had written out just keywords around each song. This song is about this. And we went through and tried to look at all of like, okay, these are the key themes throughout the whole record. Okay, well, like, so let's just think of titles, and we very much like less is more as a band, like a lot of stuff like that. Like, if you can say something in like fewer words, cool, because you don't want people to get lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
And I feel like I was literally in my front yard walking my dog or taking her out to go to the bathroom or something. And I think I thought of the title "Can We Wait" when I was just like pondering shit in my head. And I was like, that's kind of cool actually. Let me write that down. And then like threw it in like our group chat because I was like, it's super fucking vague.
Uh-huh.
So like that's cool. At the same time, it's short. It's questioning, and it definitely relates to all the lyrics because all the songs are about issues that are current as well as very sadly timeless, and that's a fucking problem. That
yeah, right.
These are things that are nothing new,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to where like it's kind of like, can we wait? Yeah, we shouldn't. You know, like obviously, no, we should not wait. Like this should have been fixed, you know, fucking 100 years ago or how. Like there's nothing new here to where. No, we shouldn't wait. Like we should now. Like this should be more like imperative than ever. And then at the same time, I thought it was kind of funny because it's like this record's been written forever. Who knows what's gonna finally come out? Like kind of like, can we wait? Like, well, we'd rather not wait. Like, can we just have like? We thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But
ironic and symbolism. I love that.
And we just thought like I remember Charlie and I both just being like, yo, how like you could have a shirt that just says "Can we wait" on it, and that's cool. Like,
oh yeah,
that'll look great on merch. We all liked in the band. I remember when we came up with that title, like, because like with anything, like we're gonna sit with it for a minute. We're not gonna immediately just like, oh fuck yeah, let's go like next. But I remember that was one that we had been like, that kind of seemed like the best title, and then kind of everyone sat with it for a minute, and everyone was kind of like, yeah, I think that actually is pretty cool. Like, let's go with that, because at the same time, the more time that you have in the overthinking of things, you know, like you'll change your mind on shit to where like, we're like, okay, that's cool. Like, that's what we're going to go with. Like, yeah. Sick.
You mentioned the vagueness of it. That was where, you know, like even listening through and trying to, you know, like hear the lyrics and listen through, you know, as far as, and when the record comes out, you know, getting it and reading through the lyrics and you know, kind of taking a deeper dive. But that Can We Wait, like throughout, you know, it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, man, what are they like touching on with this? And could it be this angle or that angle, or, you know, and I don't want to put anything out there for other people to think, but just things that popped in my mind of like, this, it is rad. Like, it is so sick. And especially like even it just being something on a merch and like you walk by and someone's looking at it and it just says, "Can we wait?" and a question mark. Like, what the fuck are they supporting? What is this? So,
well, it's like the same thing with the whole, like when we were like, oh, join the Rejection Pact. Like, if you didn't know who we were, so specifically, I remember my girlfriend was on vacation once, and she had one of our stickers on her Nalgene bottle, and she was like, she's always like gives me a hard time. But she's like, I don't, because she's friends with a lot of like normies, and like she used to go to hardcore shows a lot when she was younger and stuff, to where like she understands like this world, And she's always just like, I don't like it's. I feel weird talking to like my normie friends about like your band and stuff. And like she was saying that weekend, she's like, the amount of people that asked me what was the rejection pact because of my water bottle. She's like, I thought you'd get a big kick out of that. And I was like, yeah, that's sick. Like
That is
that's
sick.
what we want. Is we want people to like
Inquiring.
like yeah, like if someone sees that, oh, they'll like Google it, like and like just from like a branding standpoint, like in song titles and everything, like we're pretty like meticulous about that kind of stuff. Like with all the songs on the new record, we made sure that either there wasn't already a song with that title, or if maybe I think there might be a couple of tracks where there might be something on Spotify, but it's like, oh, well, there's one song with this title and it has 20 plays. So like,
Oh shit. Okay.
like okay, like
That's a good thought.
to where we want everything to be very like unique and not hard to find. Like the amount of times you try to like if someone's just got like a really generic song title or band title, like sometimes that shit's really hard to find on Spotify.
Right.
You know, so we
Yeah,
want everything to be as easy as possible.
I guess I've never really well, I mean, like titling tracks, I've never really like been in charge of that, but not even really thinking of, you name a song Go, and then you go to pull up that on Apple, whatever the fuck, or Spotify. It's like, which one, dude? Smart. That's a smart angle. I mean, even for like newer cats who are getting into like, building a band or starting, up something, it's a smart tip, dude. I'll have to remember that one myself. Shit.
Yeah, it would like again go like we're like during this writing process we were notorious on Google Docs, but we would have on each song comment, add any song titles you think are like would work for this. Here's my ideas. Chime in with what you think would be cool. Sorry, and just kind of going off like that to where I feel like some of the song titles took longer than the lyrics to write.
Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
yeah, that's sweet. I mean, with the within that and transitioning into the cover art, was that like a whole other kind of like internal battle where it was like, God damn it, like what was that something that came first as far as the artwork, and then you guys were working on the titles, or was it vice versa? How did that?
So we had I'm a psycho, and I started coming up with ideas for record covers as we were tracking the record with Ryan. But I had been working on it already for months before that. I was just scouring the internet for pictures related to the lyrics. Like old historical photos, things like that. So I had like a folder on Drive of a gajillion pictures. And we knew that we were going to have Chris do the record cover and the layout again. And we trusted him to kind of, do whatever you think is going to be cool. We knew that we wanted, so the 7-inch and everything else, the colors were black. Like yellow was the big thing.
Yeah.
Everything
right.
was yellow. We knew with this one we wanted green. And we think it's cool if, like, for an album cycle or whatever, everything is very cohesive and branded as, like, this is the color that goes with everything.
Okay.
So we knew we wanted green and either, like, kind of like a gray and, like, black and, like, white, like the tried and true colors.
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of just gave him a folder, like, if there's a way that you can incorporate some of these historical photos, but kind of just go off king, do whatever you want. Like I was saying earlier, him and I talked so fucking much that throughout the whole process of him doing the album art, it was very much him and I talking back and forth, but like, sorry, I'm getting comfortable.
Yeah, man, that's what we're doing. Shit.
So, the big can we wait I had actually come across, I want to say it was some sort of movie score for a fictitious movie, like, you know how like a lot of like movie like synth instrumental stuff,
Sure.
and it had really big letters, and I was like, that looks really cool. I like, cause our record title is so like short and like questioning, like we should do something. I was like, we should have something. We should have the record title be really big on the cover. And he was like, I love that. I actually think that's a really cool idea. But beyond that, like the whole TVs and all of that, like that was all him. Like whenever he showed it to me, I was like, holy shit, like that's so sick.
Dang. Okay.
And like, because I sent him the record, I sent him the lyrics, I gave him a list of like, these are the themes, this is kind of what the record's about. Interpret that however you want. But like, because we trust you, we know that you're really good at what you do. Because on the 7-inch, we were way more like, with the 7-inch cover, we had done like a really crappy version of it and sent it to him, and I'm like, hey, can you make this look nice? Like, and then like, he did the insert and everything, or the layout, but like for the cover, that was like, the cover was roughly our idea, but we didn't know how to make it.
Okay.
And so with the LP, we were like, you know, we know you're the man, so just do whatever you want. Like, we trust you. We know it's not going to be bad. And then when he sent it to me, and then like we showed the band, we're like, oh, this is like way cooler than like anything that we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And then with the layout, I can't wait for people to see the layout. Like, he just went buck wild on like the layout, where I was just kind of like, when he's like telling me his ideas, I'm just like, yeah, man, that's cool if you want to take that much time to do that. Like, that sounds like insane. Like, if you really have that much time to do that, like, sure, like, that sounds great. And I feel like it doesn't look like a lot of hardcore records just kind of look the same.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's very obvious that, oh, well, it looks like this, so I already know what I'm in for.
Yeah, sure.
We wanted very much for our stuff to not be like that. Like, I kind of like that, like, I was looking at it the other day, demo, 7-inch, LP, they all look consistent, like, with our logo placement, the same logo. It's just, every record, it's the same logo, but it's just tweaked a tiny bit.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah,
it's like,
sure.
Demo, it's all clean. 7-inch, it's a little bit rough. Okay, well, the LP, it's a little dirtier, but it's still the same.
Yeah.
But, like, it all looks very consistent, and that's something we've also been very intentional. We want everything to, like, when you look back at everything,
okay.
It all has a very, like, it's all, like, branded the same way, but it's all a little different, too. But
anybody with OCDs going to absolutely appreciate the attention to detail.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I just like that the art doesn't look like your typical hardcore record.
Yeah. And
I think, at least from my perspective, when you look at it, you wouldn't know what it's going to sound like. You know? I think that's important. Like, I love a lot of Youth Crew stuff, but you can look at that and you'll immediately, oh, this is going to sound like someone that wants to sound like Youth of Today. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it's nice to have that idea. It was a few months back, I started going to a local record shop of my own. And once a month, I would just tell myself, like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to buy something just off of the cover art. And, a lot of times it was kind of something, or not a lot of times, a couple of the times I felt like I was falling into this looks like it might be like a classic thrash record. Like, cool, I'll go and pick this up. Or this looked like it's going to be, just a straight up like Terror, or maybe like a Youth of Today, like something, Youth Crew type record. I'll pick that up, as opposed to it just being like, oh shit, this looks cool. Like, I don't know what it is, but I can say, like, not seeing anything other than the cover art, like drawing you into, it's one of those things where it could be, abundance of things. And that is cool. I mean, that is sick, it not being something that is just straight up like, yep, this is what it is, and there's nothing else. I mean, once you dig into the record, then you're like, I made the right choice.
Like, I think when you look at, okay, well, they're going to talk about political and social things.
Mm.
So it's like, if that's something that you're into, which that's, hopefully it is, like, this record is for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, like, people that buy physical media that's a very niche thing at this point.
Yeah, right.
To where we wanted to play, kind of talking about, again, going back to like we were talking about earlier with merch, we want to play to that demographic to a certain extent where it's like, if you're taking the time to give us your money to buy a piece of music when you, in theory, you don't have to, like, there's streaming, it's so, like, the access to music is so easy now.
Mm-hmm.
That we don't want to give you something that looks like it was haphazardly thrown together. And it's not like, we're not like a full-time touring band where it's like, oh, we can put out something that looks like shit and it won't really matter because we're going to play so many shows that just by pure numbers will eventually burn through all these.
Yeah, right.
And or we can sell these because so many fucking people fuck with our band that they're going to buy it on that alone.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we're not that type of band to where we want people that are taking the time to buy our record to feel like they're getting something that's like worth the money, and it's like something that's been had a lot of time and thought put into it. So it's kind of like, buying all the going to horror, like buying a lot of like the shit where it's like, oh, there's a really cool slip cover art that's very unique and specific to the movie, or like there's really cool cover art, the packaging is really well to where it's like, yeah, I could stream this movie, like, it's either probably on Tubi or Shudder or it's somewhere.
Yeah, right.
But I get this really cool packaging, it's cool to look at, it's cool to hold, like, that's worth buying this.
Yeah, totally. And it's funny too because of like the similarities, even in that I see like people that are into any sort of not necessarily hardcore, but music in general, and are like collectors of like vinyl or CDs, cassettes, any of that shit. And being on here, really kind of like transitioned into finding like a whole different layer of people where I'm like, holy shit, I didn't realize there were so many people that just specifically are like, hey, I love horror movies and I love hardcore and I'll collect fucking all of it. Hey, I never grew up with any kids like that. So like shit, it's awesome that it's a thing. And touching on like the physical aspect of it, I do love and appreciate, I think maybe even vinyl over CD is because it ends up almost like a, you can hold it as, in a sense, like an art piece. You can have it where it's displayed, it's sitting back. I didn't realize until just now that I have fucking Charlie's Ingrown record sitting behind me, so that's still there. but I mean, just in being able to have it, as like more of a piece and something to be able to show people. And so yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm excited to see the layout and I'm excited to see the final product and all the work that you guys have put into it, which sounding like for years you've been putting into it. Shit, it's awesome.
Yeah, at this point.
All right, you mentioned horror movies. We have to jump on this a second here. Before that, though, the record comes out tomorrow, right? You guys are releasing that. It's going to be at Safe Inside. Is there other shops too that it's going to be selling on?
So Rev HQ has an exclusive color, like the Rev color. You can get it on there.
Sick.
Deathwish has an exclusive color. You can get it on the Deathwish store.
Very sick.
And outside of that, I'm sure once it comes out, other distros. I think, like, as far as I know, once, like, the records are on their way from the Czech Republic right now.
Oh, okay.
So we'll physically have them in our hands in December.
Okay.
Which is nice, like not... It's not like a pre-order where it's like, oh, you pre-order, you'll get your record in 6 months.
A year and a half later, yeah.
Yeah, so
God.
where we'll physically have it in our hands before the year's out, to where I think once it's physically out, as far as I know, that's when like other distros and things like that start picking it up and carrying
Mm.
it. But those are the three main spots: the Safe Inside Records website, Rev HQ, and Deathwish. The ones on Rev and Deathwish are limited to 100 for those colors,
Oh, sick. Okay.
and then the Safe Inside store has it's like some sort of splatter one. I'm not a vinyl head, so I don't know like all the different names and stuff. But I want to say there's like I think 3 different color variants that the record label has.
Sweet. That's fucking awesome, man. I mean, and congrats, like, obviously from a fan, I like want to stand back and hear all of this stuff too, but also somebody, like involved in the hardcore, world and playing in music, like having your stuff on Death Wish and Rev, like that's sick, dude. Like that's so fucking awesome. And obviously Safe Inside, like not to cut them short whatsoever. Like that label is fucking sick. So I know that you guys, working with them and have some awesome stuff, that they're going to be releasing too. So yeah, bravo, man. This record rocks, and I'm
Thank
super
you.
fucking excited for everybody to hear it and to be.
He's a lo-fi horror guy. Yeah, he's kind of a guy, but he is so lo-fi, lo-fi, a horror guy. Yeah. Lo-fi horror guy has been recorded in front of a live studio audience.